Okay, so remember that they're changing my voice. I left off on point 11 where I said fair and reasonable debates should be televised with an emphasis on uncontrolled opposition and logical debaters who are very polite when they discuss the topic. So now let's get into point number 12. A global solution is needed and the end of all propaganda should come. A new era of truth, objectivity, and striving to be as just as possible should begin. What are the universal lessons here? Especially the policy-related lessons. And in reality, right, not in some kind of college propaganda or military or state-sponsored propaganda or any other propaganda, but what are the actual lessons? All BS aside. Okay, point number 13. People all over the world should stop reproducing, especially the rich, when we consider timing and the timeline. Now, this is a more controversial point that I had to put in there for people to understand the situation. For us to be completely honest about everything, we have to see that Western colonialism finished off the possibility for there to be a moral path in the future. I know there's lots of groups that don't want this to be said, but people should understand the situation. The world is in such bad shape. It's lost in darkness permanently. It's not just the true interpretation of the end of the Bible. It is actually where we are using universal logic, whether you're agnostic or atheistic or monotheistic or polytheistic or whatever. That's the reality of the situation. Everything else is just fantasy, propaganda, theater arts, lies, various forms of deceit, illusion, illness, ill-gotten gains, right? Tech, breeding, cheating, and generational ill-gotten gains has finished off society. And to understand the Palestinian and Israeli conflict, we have to understand that. Think about the timing and the timeline. The timeline of humanity, the timeline of history should be self-explanatory when it comes to, it should be self-explanatory why I bring up the timeline when it comes to proving that it's not moral to keep reproducing. Where are we? How did we get there? Okay. Point number 14. I do not want America and Israel spending hundreds of billions of dollars fighting with Muslim nations or anyone else. Okay, if not trillions. I do not want them to keep sending money to bomb people. The world needs more aid and development, okay, but not more bombs. And again, I don't think anyone should reproduce, but that doesn't mean that the people who are going to reproduce and the people who are here shouldn't be treated in a certain way. Okay, so point number 15. I believe that even the most basic understanding of Western colonialism leads one to believe that the so-called white man is by far the most responsible for the state of the world. 9 million people starve to death and die of hunger-related issues every year. That's around 3 million children. That includes around 3 million children. Okay, now I'll give you some points to help you understand why I'm right. Okay. A, historically, the West dominated the world directly and through proxies. B, even China and North Korea have Western systems of government, right? They're Communist Party of China, Communist State of North Korea, what have you. Okay, look at every developed nation has a Western system. They just have, some kind of relatively superficial, when it comes to governance, cultural overtones as well. Okay. Communism, right, comes from, it's said to come from Marx, right, Marxism, and he was German, right? He was a German Jew who, his ideas migrated and found their way into Russia, and then when Russia really championed it, it kind of confused it, but it comes from the West. So as we look at that thing, it's pretty clear cut what has happened here. Okay, and Israel is part of the continuity of Western colonialism. Now, I'm not taking sides with China and Russia and North Korea and whoever, or with NATO. These are just the facts. All governments are wrong. We'll get to that. Okay. So point number 16. They are using this conflict as one of their main pretenses to deny people their rights and to reinforce their corrupt social orders. Who's using it that way? rich globalists that are manipulating both sides. And, rich Israelis are some of those globalists. Okay. So they are using this conflict as one of their main pretenses to deny people their rights and to reinforce their corrupt social orders. Point number 17. When we look at this thing between Israel and Palestine, okay, and we zoom in on that, right, because obviously rich globalists are manipulating both sides, Israel is the main bully, so to speak. They use bullying, intimidation, various forms of coercion and bribery, okay, and proxy war and more on a larger scale, on a much larger scale, right? Palestine is like a proxy force. The Hamas is a proxy force. Palestine is a proxy movement, right? They have their own grievances, but they really don't have any teeth without other groups. So when you look at Israel versus Palestine is the bully versus the person who's bullied. And then there's other people who are angry at the bully, kind of throwing him a bone. Okay. And this is key to clarify my stance on this issue and to justify all my points. All these points connect together. Point number 18. They connect to each other. Point number 18. I believe that the Israeli side of the conflict is an unfair and hypocritical occupying force, though it is a puppet force. Their side is more neo-Roman and sexually immoral. So what is like the core problem here? It's among the core problems. It's part of the core. It's neo-Roman sexual sadism, neo-Roman greed, neo-Roman flavored injustice and collaboration. It's a concerted effort of those people in neo-Roman societies. And on record, one of the most powerful social clubs in the entire world is called the Club of Rome. Look it up. It is an actual social club that is verified. It exists for sure, and it's made up of former world leaders and the who's who and what have you. Okay? We have Greek societies in the colleges here in America, and they have counterparts abroad. There is no excuse for playing stupid about neo-Roman philosophies that are ruining the world. Think about the Colosseum. Think about Roman political maneuvering, all the white people and other people they abused when they expanded. They occupied England for hundreds of years, and England has a neo-Roman system as a result. Roman philosophy spread throughout Europe, and then after that, when it came to Western colonialism, right, 1492, what have you, it spread from there, all over the world, into India, China with the Opium Wars, into Africa, right, the French, the English, all these people with their Roman way of doing things really raised hell and have ruined the world permanently as a result. And the few technological toys they gave people mean very little compared to the extreme harm that has been done. I'm part white, I'm not racist. These are the facts. Okay. Point number 19. There are Satanists in Israel that are neocons and in other groups that want to kill Palestinians as they suffer from sexual sadist disorder. These Satanists suffer from sexual sadist disorder and neo-Roman and neo-colonial contamination and toxic philosophies that accompany these ideas, the toxic philosophies that accompany these ideas. I'm being fumed right now. It's a long story why that is. They're trying to interfere, but okay. And that is part of the problem here. So I'll put this on the screen. Okay. All right. So point number 20. Netanyahu's remarks are racist. They're subtly and otherwise racist, and they're bully statements. He says things like, civilization will win this fight. We must stand tall against evil. Okay, when his side is more in the wrong. When we look at even Hamas versus Israel, Israel is more in the wrong than Hamas. Okay, they're a response to colonial treachery, where Israel is in the forefront of colonial treachery. I mean, and little kids should be able to tell you that. This is a battle for civilization, he says, right? Well, what civilization? White man's Western civilization? Okay, and the same people deny that Egypt was black. We are in a war between he says, we are in a war between barbarism and civilization. The word civilization is most often used as a code word for white supremacist civilization, Eurocentric conceptions of civilization, what have you. Okay, and it connects to neocolonialism. Okay. So point number 21, I do not believe that any government represents a benevolent civilization. Point number 22, I do not believe that every person in Hamas is a monster. Thank you.